back to another episode or live show of the Lazy Arquitecto. I'm Irving. Thank you for joining us today. Again, as always, we're gonna start reading some of your comments soon. Um, we have some people already on the chat. That's awesome that you guys are here with me today, and we're gonna start soon. But first, let me say thank you to these folks on my screen, right? People who believe in my work, they support us either on Patreon or as a YouTube member. Thank you guys for doing that. I really appreciate it. So let me jump to the chat now and read some of your comments before we start today's presentation, right? Which is gonna be about learning AutoCAD, right? There are some folks out there that they want to learn this program, maybe to find a job or something like that. So we're gonna go over some of the basic tools, command features in AutoCAD 2024 using an exercise, right? So we have Wellington in the chat says good morning to all. Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for being here with us as always. That's awesome that you keep up with the live streams. Douglas says good morning, Irving and all. Good morning, Duke. My friend Duke, thank you for being here again with us. I'm very happy for that. Where is that fella? GM Sir Irving. GM, what do you mean by GM, Duke? Walking on Sunshine, our friend Rachel saying hello. Thank you for being here, Rachel, with us as always, as each Sunday. That's awesome. Tiaji says hi, Irving. I think you are new to the live streams. Ashok. So Ashok, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, your name, but thank you for being here. If you are new, we are all about saving time in AutoCAD, right? So welcome. Michael says GM equals good morning. Okay, didn't know that, Duke. Thank you for letting everybody know. Our friend Fahim says good evening from Dubai. Fahim, I think you're also new to the live shows, right? So welcome aboard. And that's awesome that either YouTube or Facebook are recommending our live streams to more and more people, right? So that's awesome. So, all right. So with 5 people live, we're gonna start right now. And as always, if you have questions, any suggestions, you can interrupt me at any moment during my presentation, right? Because I want this to be very interactive between you and me, right? I don't want just me talking all the time. So you can ask your questions. All right. So let me get ready over here on my screen. All right, so I'm gonna close these and get ready over here. All right. So I'm gonna start from scratch, I believe. So hi there, I'm Irving, an AutoCAD certified. So today, let's learn AutoCAD 2024 in 15 minutes. So let's see how we can do that. So in order to achieve our goal, I'll be sharing these files over here in order to practice or learn AutoCAD with this exercise, right? So it's gonna be a half bath over here. Which is this one over here. This is a survey that I did to learn AutoCAD 2024. So the real restroom is right here. And again, all of these files I'll be sharing with you to follow along. All right, so let's start. Let me move all of these on the side and let me go ahead and place this on my corner like so. All right. So in order to start learning AutoCAD, the first thing that we see when we open AutoCAD 2024 is this interface. In order to go over some of the most important things on the interface, I'm gonna go over here, and if you want to open an existing drawing, we can do so by clicking the open option over here. But in this case, we want to open a brand new drawing, so we can do that by clicking on the new option and browse templates. Over here, we can pick our template. In this case, Imperial Arquitecto is the one that we're gonna pick because the units in the US is imperial, so that means in feet and inches. So the beauty of picking a template is that AutoCAD is gonna set up our units for us. We don't have to worry about that anymore. And when we first time open a drawing, AutoCAD locate us in paper space. So in AutoCAD, there are two main environments. One is paper space, the one that you are seeing right now, and the other one would be model space over here. So model space, 99% of the time, it's where we're gonna draw everything, and once we are ready to print or create a digital PDF, we can do it here in paper space. So for the first part, we're gonna start on model space right here. And some of the three important elements on the interface is the ribbon over here, where the ribbon have most of the tools and commands to draw and modify your objects. Then down here we have the command line. The command line is like a friend, especially when you are learning AutoCAD, because it will give you instructions for each command. For instance, if I start a command from the ribbon, the line command, and click on it, you can see that the command line immediately change and is giving me instructions. Specify first point. So that means I can click on my screen like so, and now it's asking to specify a next point. Okay, so that means I can keep clicking next points like so. And to finish any command, in this case the line command, we can press enter or escape. So I'm going to press enter to finish the line command. So that's the command line. And then the third important interface piece is the status bar over here at the bottom. So the status bar has some settings such as precision settings. For instance, if I start the line command again from the ribbon, or I could also type the keyboard shortcut for any command. For instance, for line would be L, right? So that would be the line command. And over here, if I now specify my first point, of course, I'm gonna click, and you can see now if I activate maybe the ortho mode from the status bar, now you can see that I'm restricted to draw straight lines like so. So yeah, so I'm gonna press enter again to finalize my line command. So those were three main important interface concepts: the ribbon, the command line, and the status bar. All right, so now that we went over some of these important concepts, let's learn how to navigate in AutoCAD, right? How to move yourself inside the program. So to zoom in or out, we can scroll our middle mouse wheel like so to get closer to our items like so. To pan, we can simply hold the middle mouse wheel, click and hold it like so you can pan and locate your items quickly in AutoCAD. Finally, to zoom extends into your entire drawing, we can double click on the middle mouse wheel like so to zoom extends again to the entire items, right? All right, so you learn quickly some of the interface, how to navigate in AutoCAD, and the next thing that I want to show you is how to save your drawing, introducing you a new command, in this case the save command. What I like to do is use the Control S on my keyboard, so that way I can quickly save my drawing. Since this is the first time I'm saving this drawing, AutoCAD is gonna ask you to save your drawing, right? So I'm gonna rename my drawing residential half bath like so I can simply now click save like so, right? So now let's start with this exercise or task, but before we move let's jump to the chat and maybe see if you have any questions so far before we proceed with the exercise, right? So yeah, so while you let me know if you have questions on the chat, I'm gonna hide myself because I notice it's covering some of these important information on our survey. So I'm gonna hide myself because I want to learn AutoCAD, right? To enjoy a clean screen. So let me see how I can hide myself. Okay. Hide. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Duke? Nice. Okay. Awesome. All right. I think what happened was when I hide myself, my microphone also stopped working. So, all right. Thank you for immediately letting me know, so that way I don't have to redo the presentation again. All right, thanks. That's the beauty of stopping live and ask you if you have questions, right? So that way, if there is some technical difficulties, you can immediately let me know. So that's awesome. All right, we're good. We're good. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Our friend Xavier was asking, please don't forget to mention the changes you did in the last blog. I'm sorry, I'm a bit late. I missed a lot today. Xavier, I shared a short this week. I forgot when, but I I uploaded a short showing the sync. Shaver is talking about the sync block that we created last week. So yeah. All right, so let's keep moving, guys. Okay. All right, so let's start our first exercise. And in order to do so, I'm gonna erase these objects by using the green selection from right to left to select my objects and simply use the delete key on my keyboard, right? And let's start with introducing the rectangle command. So the rectangle command is right here on the ribbon. However, we're gonna start using mostly keyboard shortcuts to quickly work in AutoCAD in a more efficient way. So the rectangle command would be the REC shortcut. And once we press enter, we need to follow instructions, right? Because we're learning AutoCAD. Says the command line specify first corner. So I'm gonna click over here anywhere on my screen once, and then the command line says specify other corner. Now, according to our survey, we have this rectangle, right? But we have a specific dimensions, 5 feet 6 and so on. So that's why we're gonna click the dimensions option, and then the instructions change now. Says specify length of our rectangle. So that would be 2 feet 2 according to our survey. 2 feet 2. And over here we don't need to specify the inches character. AutoCAD already understands that. So we're gonna press enter, and then AutoCAD changed to specify the width of the rectangle. The width would be 5 feet 6. So I'm gonna type 5 feet and 6, and finally press enter. So over here, there is still some instructions for the rectangle command that says specify other corner point. So that means I need to click anywhere on my screen, and I'm gonna click here like so. So that's the rectangle that we draw. Again, I'm gonna zoom in with my middle mouse wheel, and then what we need, of course, is the walls of this half bath, right? So the walls, I can see it's 5 inches over here. By the way, on the materials also, we will have a site survey guide where we can go ahead and kind of understand what those measurements are, whether it's inches or feet. Again, this is a personal thing, right? Because every office survey things differently, but this will help you for this exercise. All right, so let's keep moving then, and let me move this over here. Okay, so the next command that we're gonna need is the offset command. So the offset command shortcut is the O, and we can simply use the offset command to create parallel lines, right, of an object. In this case, I want to create an offset of this wall, so I'm gonna again utilize the O shortcut, and following instructions says specify offset distance. So the offset distance is going to be 5 inches because that's the wall. So I'm going to type 5 and press enter. And then the instruction says select the objects to offset. Of course, would be the rectangle. And finally says specify point on site to offset. That means if I move my cursor in this direction, it's going to offset this way. But we don't want that because we already have the exact dimension for our interior rectangle or half bath. So what we want is to move it to the side like so, and click like that. All right, so we have our half bath almost ready there, but let's keep moving. So we have now to start thinking on how to draw the door for this half bath, right? So in order to do that, I'm gonna use the line command. So the line command is right here on the ribbon again, but we're gonna use the keyboard shortcut L, like so. And then I'm gonna follow the instructions, right? Specify first point. I'm gonna hover over here, not click, but only hover on it and move down. And we can see that we have a extension line over here that shows as an X. So if you're not seeing that, there is an option over here on the status bar for the object snap. And here is the extension snap, right? So, okay, so let me hover again and move it down and type my distance of 11 inches, as you can see, for the start of the door. So again, move it down 11 inches, press enter, and now I can move to either side and click over here like so. To finish my line command, I can simply press escape or enter, and that way I drew a line to start my door over here, right? So what I can do next is copy this line down. I'm gonna select the line and using the copy command with its keyboard shortcut CO and pressing enter. Following the instructions, I need to specify my base point, which I want it to be this one. And then following the instructions again, I need to specify a second point. So if I move it up, I'm gonna copy my line up, but I don't want that. I want to copy it down according to my survey. And that would be 2 feet. So I'm gonna move down and type 2 feet and press enter. As you can see, I can keep copying lines, but I'm done, so I'll press enter. All right, so next, let me introduce you another command called trim. And the trim command is very helpful. You can use started with the keyboard shortcut TR. And the trim command will help us remove or trim some of this geometry. For instance, we need an opening for this door, right? So I can select my objects to start trimming it, or I can simply draw or select my objects like so to trim multiple objects at the same time. So I can press enter to finalize the trim command. Next, we will start adding some of these doors, toilets, and lavatories. So the way that we do it, we don't want to waste time doing this from scratch, right? In an office environment, we never do that. We try to reuse objects that we already drew, right? And that way, that's why I shared these blocks over here. So I'm gonna open it, and once you open it, you will have these residential blocks and items. So what I can do is simply copy all of this, selecting it and using the Control C on my keyboard to copy that, and I can go ahead and close this drawing. To close a drawing, you can simply click this X icon over here, and will ask if you want to save this drawing. I don't want to save it, so I'm gonna say no. And then I'm back into my project, into my half bath drawing, and I'm gonna paste this with Control V, and I'm gonna simply place it right there. So before we start adding some of these blocks and geometry into our half bath, let me jump to the chat and see if you have questions so far. Again, we are learning AutoCAD 2024 with this basic, very basic exercise, because I know there are folks that want to learn this program to maybe find a job. So we have a comment in the chat Es Felicia Hernández says, good morning, lazy arquitecto. Bien con las bendiciones. Good morning, Felicia. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Muy feliz de tenerte hoy aquí. Y, yep, for people who don't know, again, Spanish is my first language because I'm originally from Peru in South America. So Rachel says, I've got 2 raised table zebra crossings on a bus route to design. Can you do that instead? Save me? Rachel, we can talk that later if you want. You can email me and maybe I can help. For now, let's keep moving with this exercise. All right, guys. So if there's no question so far, let's keep moving because we're trying to learn AutoCAD 2024 in 15 minutes. Let's see if we can do that. All right. So, all right. So let me get ready over here. All right. So let's add a door now to our half bath. And we have this door over here that it's a block. A block is simply many individual items put together into a single item. So to move a block, I'm gonna move it from this grip over here, selecting on it, and then clicking again on this position. So right here, I need to rotate my door. And let me introduce you the rotate command with its keyboard shortcut RO. So once I do that, the instruction says specify base point would be over here, and then specify rotation angle. So that means depending on how I move my cursor, it will rotate. So I'm gonna click like so. All right, awesome. So we placed our door. Next, what I like to do is go ahead and insert or place my toilet right here. Again, this is another block, and let's move it from this grip and place it exactly on this midpoint like so. Awesome. So really quick, we placed our items such as the door and toilet, and let's now move with the lavatory over here. So now this lavatory, as you can see, is not a block, and I did this intentionally to show you how we can create a block, right? These are simply rectangles and lines and circles. So let me first go ahead and select this lavatory and move it, right? Again, this would be a brand new command, move. The move command, its keyboard shortcut is M. So, and then following instructions, I need to specify a base point. Now, the base point needs to be very strategic, in a very strategic location, because if we see our survey right here, our lavatory is placed from this corner exactly. So I'm gonna grab it from that corner and click, and then the instruction says specify second point. Okay, so my second point would be over here in this corner, and now I need to rotate my block. Not a block, but this is exploded sink. So we already used the rotate command, I believe, but let's select our objects using the blue selection from left to right. So that way I only select the objects that are inside my blue rectangle, like so. And then I can use the rotate command with its shortcut RO. Following instructions, I'll pick my base point and then my rotation angle by clicking like so. Now we have a problem over here because our sink is smaller. According to our survey, it's 24 inches. So the way we can fix this is using the stretch command. So the stretch command, the keyboard shortcut is the S. So once we activate the stretch command, we can select our objects. Now, the stretch command is very strange in the way that you select it. If we select all of our objects, the whole lavatory will move, but we don't want that. So what we need to stretch is only selecting this part of our scene, right? If we select and include the circle will also stretch in this direction. So that's what we don't want. So let's stretch only this part of the lavatory and click like so. Following the instructions, select objects, we already did. So let's simply press enter and then specify base point. So our base point, of course, would be this over here. So I'm gonna click because that's where I need to stretch my lavatory. Now, we cannot simply randomly stretch and place our next point over here because our lavatory has an exact dimension of 24 inches. So let me introduce you one of your first tricks in AutoCAD. And this trick is using the from command. So if you type from on the command line like so and press enter, you will have new instructions. Now it says specify a base point again. And we want that because if we specify our base point right here by clicking on it, we can tell AutoCAD that from this base point, I want 24 inches in this direction. So I can simply type 24 and press enter. And boom, we have exactly the lavatory size that we need. Awesome. So that was the stretch command, a very advanced command, but very useful in AutoCAD. And you just learned your first trick also in AutoCAD. So next, I like to create a block from this lavatory. So I'm gonna select everything and simply use the B shortcut to create a block. That's the block command. And once I do that or press enter, I can rename my block. So lavatory, maybe I can put the size 24 by 10. And I can click OK to specify my insertion base point. So again, that's very strategic where you don't want to place your base point over here because as you can see on the survey, you will locate your lavatory from this corner. So I think the best option would be to click over here. So once you do that, now this becomes a block, as you can see. And the beauty of a block is that it will not only make your AutoCAD files lighter, but also if you have many of these lavatories, maybe you have a big project and you have 10 of these lavatories, whenever you edit this block by right clicking on it and edit block, whenever you edit this, for instance, I'm gonna stretch this maybe smaller like that, I can go ahead and let me move this out of the way. I can go ahead and from the ribbon I can let me move that. So I can go ahead and save the changes to my block, and look what happened when I click OK. All of the blocks on my drawing will update automatically, so that way we can work more efficient in AutoCAD. So that's the advantage of using blocks in AutoCAD. So let me undo with Control Z on my keyboard. That's the shortcut to undo because we don't want to do that. And that way I'm back to my drawing. So let me put back this survey right here, and before we continue, let's jump to the chat to see if you have questions so far. So we are done adding our blocks on our half bath, and the next thing is start adding some annotations. But before we continue, I like to go to the chat again and see if you have questions so far. Let's see. We have Douglas. It looks like he's talking with Rachel. Okay, so no questions so far. That's awesome. That means we did a good job explaining or introducing these new commands, right? So yeah. All right, so let's keep moving. Let's finalize this by adding some annotations. Okay. So, all right. So to start adding some annotations, first we need to add a dimension. A dimension is simply to a text with the exact size of this geometry or half bath. And a dimension, it's right here on the ribbon. We can use that or also type its shortcut DIM and press enter, of course. Following instructions says select objects. So that means I can select this wall right here and you can see immediately a dimension will show up. So I can simply click that, and finally following instructions says specify dimension location. So what I like to place is outside. I like to place my dimensions outside my plan, right? So it looks nice and clean. So I'm gonna place it right here, and then we can keep adding dimensions, right? As you can see, again, it says select objects. So I'm gonna specify this wall over here. Now I'm gonna get closer and specify this wall like so, and I'm gonna click on it. And finally specify dimension location, and I'm gonna place it around here. And to finish the dimension command, I can simply press escape or enter, right? And I'll be done placing my dimensions. Now, a problem that we can see immediately is the size of our dimension is very tiny. Don't worry about that. We'll fix the scale or size of our annotations all at once we figure out the scale of our drawing. So for now, let's keep moving, adding the annotations. And the next annotation I like to add is a text. So to use a text, we can use the text command in Autocad. However, there is a smarter text called mtext, which is shortcut MT. And this I like to use this text because again it has more flexibility. So I'm gonna use that mtext, and following instructions specify first corner. I'm gonna specify my first corner right here, and then it says specify opposite corner. So my opposite corner would be somewhere around here. Again, we can move our text later, that is not a problem. And then I can start typing my title. So I'm gonna say residential half bath, and I will also select everything with Control A and make it bolder, right? Bolder, and then finally underline it. So that way this text can be bold and strong, which is not right now because again it's very, very tiny. Again, don't worry about that. We'll fix it in a moment once we figure it out, our drawing scale. So finally, I'm gonna add another mtext, and this would be for the scale of our drawing, right? So I'm gonna click once, opposite corner again, and start typing the scale of our drawing. And in this case, we don't know yet the scale. I'm gonna simply type X, but we know that it's gonna be equal to a foot. So it's time then to finish this. I can simply click outside the text option, so right here on my screen, and it's time to figure it out, our drawing scale, right? So in order to do that, we need to go to paper space or layout by clicking on it, and Over here we can see in paper space, again, we moved here because we are almost ready to print or create a PDF of our final drawing. But over here, the first thing that we need to do is pick our drawing scale, right? So in order to do that, we can see that we have some items here in paper space. The first thing is this title block that you can see is simply a block, right? The same as our door that we use, our sink, this is also a block. And a title block is simply a way for you to input some of the project name, date, scale, and so on. We also have a viewport. A viewport is right here, and it's simply a window that we can utilize to scale our drawing and as well to see through our drawing in model space, right? We can see we have our drawing very tiny, but we can get inside the viewport by double clicking on it, and then we can zoom in or out. However, we cannot do it right now because our viewport is locked. So let's unlock it by clicking on this icon, and that way I can zoom in and place my drawing like so. Now we cannot just pick a random scale, we had to pick a standard scale. So let's do that by clicking over here, and let's try a scale of maybe half or 1 inch. So you can see at 1 inch equals a foot. Our drawing, it looks small still, so let's pick another scale, maybe 3 inches. And yes, 3 inches looks fine to me. And I'm gonna simply pan by holding the middle mouse wheel like so and placing my object like so, right? So make sure your scale again is a standard scale. And to get outside, I'm gonna simply double click outside my viewport, and that way I'm ready to scale my annotation, right? Because now we know that our drawing is using a scale of 3 inches equals a foot. So let's go back to model to fix some of these annotation sizes or scales. So in order to do that, we need the property palette. So the property palette, we can open it by using the PR shortcut, and it's right here. This will help us change some of the sizes and settings of our items. So let's select our dimensions and go ahead and find the scale over here, dim scale overall. Right now it's set to 1, but how do we know what scale should we set this up, right? We cannot just randomly pick one. Well, now that we know our drawing scale that was 3 inches equals a foot, we can follow this scale chart that I provided. So let me open it, and it's right here. So now that we know our drawing scale, which is right here, 3 inches equals a foot, if we go over here, we can see that the scale factor would be 4. So that's what we're gonna need. So remember that number, and let's change it to 4 and press enter. So you can see our dimension immediately is bigger now. However, still it's not big enough, right? And that is because this dimension style, which is let me find the dimension style right here on the properties. So let's look for it, because it's important to know that if we want to increase the size even farther. It's right here, dim style, it's standard, that's the name. So let's open the dialog box for the dimension using a command called dimst, right? So this will open the dimension style manager, which we already checked that standard was our dimensions. So if we modify this for the text height, we can see that the text is using 330 seconds, and this size is mostly used for big firms that use plenty of text and annotations, but for us 1/8 will work better. So that's a little bigger for the text of our dimensions. Let's click OK, and let's see what happened to our dimensions when we click close. As you can see, immediately our dimension got bigger, and that's because we changed some of its settings. All right, so now that we have our dimension size ready, let's do the same with our title. So our title, let's go ahead and go back to our chart. And again, for our 3 inches equals a foot scale, we can check that the title would be 1 inch. So that's what we're gonna pick. Let's change that to 1 inch from our property, and it's right here, text height. So let's change it to 1, and we can immediately see the changes. So I'm gonna left click on it and drag it and move it right here. And for our next text, in this case would be not a title, but would be a major heading, right? So that would be 0.75 inch. So let's do that over here, 0.75, and that way I can stretch this text from this point, and finally left click and drag it over here like so. And of course, at this point we already know our scale. So to edit a text, you can double click on it and change this to 3 inches equals a foot. So we are ready over here in model space. We are ready to export our drawing. So I'm gonna close the property palette and go to layout or paper space. And over here, let me see if we have questions before we proceed. All right, so let me jump to the chat. And let's see if you guys have questions before we proceed to create our PDF, right? Let's see. It looks like our friends are talking. Nope, no questions so far. That's awesome. With 10 people live, we're trying to learn AutoCAD 2024 using this exercise in 15 minutes. I don't know if we already passed that time, but let's keep moving. All right, so before we proceed, we can see that we have a problem over here. Our text is not showing for the scale, so that's not a problem. We can fix that by stretching our viewport. So our viewport, we can go ahead and stretch that from this point and move it up. And as well as on the bottom, we can also increase the size of our viewport like so, and that way we can see our text, right? So let's create a PDF now. To create a PDF, we can use the Control P on our keyboard. That's the keyboard shortcut, and we will have this print settings, and PDF, that's the one that we need. The size 24 by 36, that's correct, because 24 is the size for this title block, so that size is correct. Extend is fine. Center the plot. Scale 1:1, that's also important to have it because we are picking a standard scale over here, so that's important to have it to 1:1. Scale lightweights, and then finally under the plot style, we can pick the mono, Autodesk mono, so it prints or sorry, monochrome, so it prints black and white. And let's do a preview. And as you can see, our drawing is looking nicely. And to finish this, we can go ahead and click the plot option, and we can save our drawing by clicking this over here, save. All right, so AutoCAD now created this PDF, which is right here, of our half bath at 3 inches equals a foot, and this is ready to go. Now the last part here is to save your drawing, right, with the Control S shortcut on your keyboard, and then we can go ahead and close our drawing like so. All right, guys, so what do you think about this exercise that we just went over to learn AutoCAD 2024? So let me jump to the chat now before we wrap up today's live stream to see if you have any questions, right? So hopefully, I don't think we achieved, maybe we did. We achieved our goal of learning AutoCAD in 15 minutes. That's a little hard, but we will see, maybe we didn't. So we have a comment on the chat. It's our friend Rachel. Rachel says, let me go over here and change the comments. Okay. So Rachel says, I see we haven't turned off trade notify yet, Irving. Rachel, our friend Rachel, is talking about this balloon over here. It's called a balloon, a notification balloon that AutoCAD is giving us to kind of help us, right, guiding us when we do some actions like PDFing or plotting. We can, of course, turn that balloon off. I don't like to turn it off, Rachel. What I like to do is set it to a maybe 5 seconds or 3 seconds interval, so it shows up for 3 to 5 seconds, but I'll do that later. All right, let's see if we have comments. What do you guys think about today's presentation? We were trying to help folks, right, to learn this program AutoCAD, because, you know, I'm sure there are folks out there who wants to learn this program, maybe find a job, right, utilizing this program. Rachel says, really drives me mad. Yeah, Rachel, I mean, again, that's a personal preference. You're talking about the balloon notification. I mean, for 3 seconds and then it will go away. Doesn't bother to me. It just so, but again, that's a personal preference. Michael says, a bit basic, but I realize there might be beginners. Yes, Duke. So our channel is not only about helping save time to already AutoCAD professionals, but every once in a while we want to help these new people, these beginners, as you're saying, right? Because that's the goal of this channel, right? Try to help. So that's what we're doing. This Duke working on sanctions says, it's basic, but we were all at that stage once. That's correct, Rachel. We all starting. I think I did another basic tutorial on my first drawing. So that was a very nice. Let me see if I can find it. So my first drawing that I did in AutoCAD. You just remind me. Let me see. Okay, I think you still can see my screen. So let's see, videos. Or maybe I can go to learn AutoCAD. Here we go, learning AutoCAD. So yeah, I think this is the video where I showed my first drawing that I did in AutoCAD at college. So yeah, that video went pretty well. Like, it has more than like 44,000 views. Wow, that's crazy. So yeah, so Rachel, okay, say once. Okay, all right, guys. So before we wrap up today's live stream, I like to do a contest for the people who are still here. Right, we have 9 people. If you are here still, we have a contest really quick before we wrap up today's live stream, and the contest is gonna be about a free pass to our CAD meeting, which our next CAD meeting is gonna be next week on Sunday 30, right? And so these CAD meetings, we do it on Zoom, and is mostly for our YouTube members, right? I know Rachel, Douglas, I think also our friend Jeff, they're gonna be there because they are members of the show. So these CAD meetings on Zoom is a way for me to give these folks a little bit of my time, right? And chat with them, talk about AutoCAD, ask questions, create this networking also, right? Network. So it's fun. So our friend Duke says, be there everyone, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, so we're gonna have a contest right now to win a free pass to this next CAD meeting on Sunday at 10 a.m. again on Zoom. So all you had to do is put meeting on the chat, right? For instance, I'm gonna say meeting right there. So I'm already participating by putting meeting on the chat, right? So yeah, if you wanna win a free pass for next week's CAD meeting on Zoom, simply put meeting on the chat and I'll be able to pick a winner from the chat, right? So yeah, so let's see if people want to do that, and before we wrap up today live stream. So let's see over here. Let's give a moment to people to say meeting on the chat if they want to again gain a free pass. Just put meeting on the chat. Our friend Duke says, you know I'll be there, so I'll pass on the drawing. Yeah, Duke, I mean, it's fun. I got to know some of you guys more, like our friend Duke. I know what you guys do now at work. You guys know more about me now. We share some personal experiences as well as professional experiences. So it's fun. It's fun, our CAD meeting. But again, if you want to be there for free, just put meeting on the chat to win this contest. We have Working on Sunshine says, what time is the Zoom meeting? The time is going to be 10 a.m. and that is Pennsylvania time in the United States. So it's going to be basically, instead of a live stream as today's, it's going to be a Zoom meeting, right? Same time, same day, Sunday, 10 a.m. So yeah, Rachel, thank you for asking that. So we're all about to wrap up today's live stream. So let's see if people want to win a free pass for our meeting, right? All you have to do is say meeting on the chat and you'll be able to win a free pass to our next CAD meeting. So thank you for your question, Rachel. You were asking for the time. All right. Okay, so if there are no more questions or suggestions or ideas, I think we're gonna wrap up today's presentation. Michael says, have a great week, everyone, and see you at the Zoom meeting. All right, so we're gonna leave this live stream maybe for a couple of hours, right, after I ended it right now. And for people or folks that still want to participate or gain a free pass, right, for our CAD meeting. So yeah, all right, so have a wonderful rest of the day, guys, and I'll see you here next Sunday at 10 a.m. With our CAD meeting. See you, folks. Oops, we have a question. What's the chances of doing some certified professional questions for the exam? We can do that. However, it's a little challenge to do that, right? Because Autodesk might have some copyright restrictions if we kind of do their questions, or I don't know that, but that's a good idea, Rachel. We'll see how we can do that. Yeah, but I'll get back to you on that comment, Rachel. Great idea, Rachel. Rachel says, or typical questions, you got examples? Yeah, I mean, we can, I think I already have a video about a typical question, Rachel. Is this one over here, become Autodesk AutoCAD certified. So I show a typical question of the exam, but I think you want a video only showing some more of these questions, right? So let's see if we can do that. I'll put it on my topic list. I can help you with that. I'll let you about it at Zoom. All right, Doug. Yeah, sure. We can talk more about it on Zoom. Yeah, on next Sunday. All right, guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you next Sunday. See you, guys.